game number 2, Dynamic versus World Elite. I'm really excited for it. See how Dynamic can respond, but they have been struggling recently, and that's something that we've seen. With our Elite tournament, Dynamic, they kind of struggled a little bit. To be fair, it was against Dignitas, but Dignitas again, they were coming back with that Korean style, that early pushing style. World Elite, we saw a little bit of that. We saw them, take bot tower very aggressively early on. They were able to snowball that to the mid, to the top lane. And so the big thing was Dynamic, they just kind of looked lost early on. They were falling behind in all of the lanes, and they were just allowing World Elite to walk all over them.
Yeah, it's kind of like playing like champs for the first time. You're just like you're alt tabbing back and forth. It's like, oh man, what do I buy next? What do I do here? It kind of felt like that to me. It's kind of like I'm so not used to everything, this style, this strategy. It's like, where am I? It's like day one all over again. But Cassiopeia, Nocturne was a bit of a problem there for World Elite, so we're just going to go ahead and take him out completely. But also World Elite, they decided to pass on the Shen ban, go for the Nocturne, but Dynamic, they want to make sure that he's not a factor in this game either. And Nunu, going to be the last ban here for World Elite.
Yeah, Pixel has been playing a lot of Nunu in the past, but the Nocturne ban, definitely a fantastic choice there. And Atlanta, he was one of the one saving graces for Dynamic in that last game. If World Elite, they know that they're trying to be aggressive, particularly if they're trying to pressure the bottom lane again, then Nocturne, he has that engage potential where he can just jungle very easily and then come in, counter initiation. So that's definitely going to be an issue. So get rid of that Nocturne pick. They should be a little bit safer. We'll see where they go with it. They're actually banning out Yorick, so they don't want to allow World Elite to get it. We'll see now. Aurelia is open. They could take an early Aurelia, but Alistar left open, and that has never been a good thing in anyone's experience.
Alistar's open, Malphite's open, Ryze is open as well in comparison to a last game. So there's a possibility here for Dynamic, if they want to, they could grab the Malphite here, have that fantastic initiation, but also still not quite sure if World Elite's going to be throwing Alistar in the jungle or as a support bot. We don't know quite yet.
Yeah, and the Malphite, if they decide to go with it here, going with the Skarner, though, actually, I would really like that to keep that away from World Elite. The issue is that they could easily jungle the Alistar. We'll see whether or not they're playing support or jungle, but jungle Alistar right now is clearly superior. Like, he's just such a phenomenal jungler. His ganks are really strong. But the big thing for Dynamic, if they go with that Malphite pick, it would work against like the AoE team that World Elite has because they can have that counter initiation. However, if World Elite decided to go with really survivable champions like Ezreal and Ahri, then that could be a big struggle for Malphite because Malphite, he struggles against champions like that, particularly double AP as well. Zig is going to pick up Graves, though, and we have seen Graves a lot of times in the past from Dynamic. He's one of their favorite champions, and World Elite as well. They play a lot of Graves. Get rid of him, take him out of there. Won't be an issue, but it does open up the possibility for an Ezreal Sona bot lane, which is just one of the strongest lanes in the game right now.
Yep, and World Elite also had amazing success with the Vladimir mid as well. He got ridiculously tanky, he has all that regen, and then again, though, you have a top laner like Aurelia. Any top laner who's far ahead that can just build straight up, from Trinity into Warmogs, that's a fair amount of tanking your own. And there's the Aurelia pickup right there. So now Dynamic, I feel they're a little bit of a panic. It's like, crap, we have to deal with that crap again.
I'm kind of surprised that they didn't pick up Aurelia themselves.
I am too,
because Aurelia really lanes well against anyone. Like, Aurelia will beat anyone in lane, or at the very least be very safe. So World Elite, it's a very safe pickup for them. They can grab that very easily. Dynamic now, they have a couple of options. They'll probably want to take their I guess they're already kind of committed as a team, but they're going to go with that kind of tanky lineup that they have done in the past. We'll see, what Zion Spartan tries to do, and he does play a lot of unusual champions like AD Nidalee and stuff like that. That really doesn't fit with their team comp right here. So probably some sort of berserker. They could go with like a Darius or like a Jax. We have seen a lot of Jax in the past from Zion Spartan. That works out well against Aurelia.
Yeah, well, I like the potential throwback coming in here from Dynamic. It's like Jungle Olaf is like, wait, is like, what happened with Nintendo? Oh wait, no, it is Atlanta. It's like, has Atlanta been working a little bit on Olaf there?
Yeah, no, we'll have to see if that's going to be jungle or top lane. It could be either. And top lane Olaf versus Aurelia, it is a very even matchup. Olaf has some nice advantages. His true damage does very well against Aurelia. You can chase her down, try and pick up the kills there. But we have seen Atlanta play some Olaf, and the benefit there is going to be the jungling speed. You can try and counter out Alistar a little bit. So we'll have to see where they go from there. Going with the Ezreal pick, definitely a smart decision. And then grabbing Vladimir once again. Vladimir was just so abusive in the last game. Kind of of different this game. He has to work against Rise, and Rise actually does very well against Vladimir. Rise, because Vladimir's kind of short range, whenever he comes into farm, Rise can just kind of bully him around once he gets some early mana.
Yeah, but also remember, if you do throw him mid, you still have access to the Wraiths. You can still farm just a little bit. So you may just be looking to tower hug there. And there is the potential Singed coming in their top lane.
This would be
I like
very
that.
cool.
I like that.
Yeah, and actually, for anyone who's followed World Elite, back when they really first came onto the scene, they've been around for well over a year now, but when they were first playing on the American scene, I remember there was a tournament last fall. It was actually the Cyber Sportsnet, one of their cups, and World Elite stomped like all the NA teams. It was one of their first big NA tournaments. They looked incredibly impressive, and at that point in time, they were running a single-target CC comp that had Rise, Singed, Nocturne, Ashe. So those kind of single-target CC champions, they're able to pick off individual members, the Ashe Nocturne combo and everything. It was very strong. But so I was kind of wondering if Dynamic would run that. That would be kind of an interesting throwback. But going with the Jax, and as we were saying, Jax is definitely a very strong pick in the top lane against Aurelia. Aurelia has the early advantage though, so if Aurelia can take control of that lane early, that could really be dangerous for Jax, particularly if Alistar starts making his way up top.
Oh yeah, and Alistar, after he hits 6, his ganking options become near infinite. He can just go ahead, come right on through from behind a turret, pop that ult, and it's all mashed potatoes. You're just gonna be slammed into the ground, beat it, just pounded repeatedly. But the thing is, though, Jax, he does have a pretty good kit to actually get away if the minions are nearby. Hopefully, leap striking actually get out of there. But you also have Olaf here, so Lana going to be indeed jungling him. He does have the ghost. He can clear a lot of distance with that as well. If he pops the ult, he can be there, hopefully in time for those counter ganks to try and make a difference in those fights. But you know what? It's the thing, though. It's Atlanta on Olaf. I miss the Nintendo. I do miss the Nintendo. That's super aggressive play. But we'll see if some of that has actually rubbed off on Atlanta here. See if the rest of the team's like, we want you to do as he did once.
Yeah, I mean, I've actually been really impressed with Atlanta's play in the jungle. And anyone who's been watching Dynamic since he joined, Atlanta's looked incredibly strong. Like, he's just a very solid jungler. He's a very team-oriented player as well. One of the issues is that Nintendo, he brought along this kind of magical element. And, he would kind of throw a lot of games. He would put them themselves in dangerous situations. However, the big strengths that Nintendo brought to the table, one, he was incredibly aggressive at ganking top and tower dives in particular. He picked champions that could tower dive very easily, tank the turrets, but he was also very strong at counter jungling. He kind of threw himself out of position a couple of times with his counter jungling, with a lack of map awareness. But we'll see. We are into the game. We'll be able to check this out, and it should be pretty exciting to see Atlanta throw him back with the Olaf.
A lot of pings going down from both teams, actually. Mostly in the river area here. So you see a Dynamic. They may be looking to contain that top river bush, but you do see what World Elite. They're this time a little bit on the defensive. They're going for that point defense. Everyone's got an entrance. They just want to make sure this is our jungle. You guys keep out. If you're going to be here, we want to know exactly where you're going to be. And wonderful spread coming in here. Every entrance is checked up there. And plus also you got If as Sona in the mid there, making sure that no one actually gets in the long way around from mid lane into one of those side brushes.
Yeah, and despite the early advantages that Alistar has in those level 1 fights, Dynamic, they actually have a very strong level 1 team as well, and they have more damage than World Elite. So World Elite, even though they have the Alistar pulverized, they don't have the damage to follow up on it, so they're going to play very defensively here. If Dynamic can steal that blue, they could really throw themselves ahead. It would prevent some of those Alistar ganks. And so Alistar should be fine without it, but if they can prevent those Alistar ganks, that'll be fine. And what you see with Dynamic right now, they're actually waiting. They're biding their time. They have the ward over by their own blue, but they're going to wait until the very last second so that Alistar doesn't have the option of stealing theirs.
Kalme is considering stealing those Wraiths outright, have a little bit extra XP going into the top lane. But yeah, Dynamic, they're playing the super patience game. There you go, last possible second. They want to arrive at the blue just as it spawns, but I think Kalme does get the vision, and the plan has been blown. But right now, they're a little bit out of position. They're all over down by the red. They can actually still secure this blue steal pretty easy on their own. Zion Spartan's going to be sticking around a little bit longer. Make sure you actually plug all that damage on in. And it looks like Atlanta's actually going to hold on to the smite, so you can just go ahead and grab his red a little bit early. But you look at this, you see YJ here at enemy blue, but he was kind of hesitant. He was waiting for the Sona. He wanted the backup. The ward is still there. He's in a little bit of danger here. Paradoxical is actually over that ridge. Pings are going down. They want to advance this. You also have Atlanta coming in pretty soon, but Messiah there going over that ridge, going over past that brush. He does see Atlanta come in, and he knows we cannot engage on this, but we can still secure that blue.
Yeah, and the really nice thing about what Alistar did was he started off his route on the race as opposed to the wolves. That gave him the opportunity to move over and transition to that blue. Paradoxical coming in, trying to dissuade him, but started off with the overload as opposed to the snare, so he wasn't able to pick up the kill there or anything. So that's definitely going to be nice for Alistar. But Dynamic so far, they're actually swapping up again. They started off with their top lane. They were sending Graves and Lulu top to start pushing the tower. Then they're actually switching. So I think the concern was that Jax wouldn't be able to farm against Ezreal and Sona. They thought that World Elite might go for that top switch. They realized they're not, so they're finally switching back so Jax can go into that lane. But he is a little bit behind as a result.
Yeah, pre-game lobby is like, yeah, you guys are going to switch, right? Oh yeah, definitely. We'll definitely do that switch. And Dynamic falls for it. It's like, oh, you guys.
And then they play like sappy 70s comedy music. And
Absolutely.
Like a wah,
wah. And then Zion. Here's the thing, though. Making the switch back, that is a very critical time in farming very early on, because Zion Spartan, with that switch, will be entering top lane while Kalme's level 3. That is huge. Jax is going to be immensely weak just from that, but you do have Atlanta coming on in. He will miss that axe. The flash away from Aurelia will actually get her to safety.
Yeah, and actually Atlanta burning the ghost there, trying to get in range. But again, Zion is extremely far behind right now. Olaf, that pressure, he needs to be up top in order to allow Zion Spartan to come back in. So that was definitely a nice job on his part. In the wave, it is pushed up to Jax, so he's going to be safe to catch up a little bit there.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see how that's going to kind of work out for them. But I don't know, right now, bot lane, it should be a pretty interesting lane because Ezreal and Sona is one of the most aggressive lanes in the game. If you can zone people off of the minion wave, then they have the follow-up damage, and Ezreal has great chasing ability that you can just chase them down, get some quick damage. But Graves and Lulu, they have a lot of burst damage. Lulu's a very strong duelist, so if they ever actually have a 1v1 fight, I don't know, it should be pretty even. I think Ezreal's slow would shut down a little bit too much of Graves' damage, so they are on the defensive for the most part, but we'll see how Dynamic can try and take control of that lane.
Yeah, well, and you can it's also a matter of skill level ups as well, because you may see Ezreal actually go in. He may opt to actually not level up the W first. He may actually just go for straight up pure damage, because you do have you do have Sona. It's a lot of damage, and you actually go and try and go in on this.
Oh, and Ezreal trying to get the kill on Pixel.
There you go, the first blood coming into support kill, which is still not too bad of a situation, but Zig makes sure we go down. That's a double kill there for the supports. Wonderful job, but you do have Para going to be caught out here just a little bit, though. Messiah is full on in pursuit. WX in the bush. Can he actually get Para before he chunks him out? And there you go, the Ignite, she's still going down, but Sona will be caught out there from Atlanta. But the thing is, though, can he get away? You got Vlad, you got Alistar in the neighborhood as well. And Atlanta's head-butted backwards into that turret. Net gain massively for World Elite there.
Yeah, 4-1 for World Elite right there so far. And I don't know, just really nice aggression or turning it on to them. They have very safe lanes. Messiah moving down to the bottom once again. We saw that in game number 1. Vladimir, making his way down bottom to help win those fights. But Graves and Zig and Pixel, they started off and they were able to get some quick damage, burst down, try and burst down Ezreal a little bit. They weren't quite able to finish it off. Zion actually chasing after Aurelia some here. So he gets off some nice damage. He does have the Ignite and actually uses it. So they both use their Ignites. They will have to back off. But as the top lane progresses, as Jax gets further and further into his abilities and everything, he has the damage to chase down Aurelia. But Aurelia has the CC, can then disengage. So it will be a very even matchup now that Zion Spartan's able to get into that lane.
And that was actually with Zion Spartan down an item, because you saw earlier Kame actually went back, bought the Dorn's Blade, came back into lane. So now it's an opportunity for Jax to actually go ahead, buy something nice for himself. Messiah, nice, getting chunked out a little bit by Atlanta. Not going to be able to exchange very well, but there you go. Double Dorans coming in for Zion Spartan top lane. Nice little 2-pack. Gonna be going back up there. A little bit of health, a little bit of damage, and that sustain, that lifesteal, which you so sorely need. You need some sort of sustain to keep you there fighting there in top lane.
Yeah, and so now 4-1 down. Vladimir has 2 of those kills, 4 assists onto Ezreal, so not completely out of the bot lane, but that's a huge gold lead.
Yeah.
And Ezreal and Sona is one of the strongest lanes at taking advantage of those leads, but YJTM moving in after Paradoxical, and he will be able to get that headbutt in. The Pulverize as well, and Messiah has plenty of damage to follow up on it. There is no flash from Rise, and he is going to drop very quickly.
Wow. Yeah, even if he did flash away, the second proc there on the Vlad ult would have definitely been more than enough to go ahead and clean up. And also, look at Vlad. He's got the Haunting Guise. He has that extra health. He has the spell. He has that magic pen, which is going to be so important early on before Rise gets tanky. He wants to be able to chunk him out as best as he can before he actually starts, building on up and just becoming an immovable object. And with that, Rise, he's looking to get that catalyst. He may actually be even going in for, well, is it a little bit too soon for Banshee's Veil? First item?
Yeah, usually you won't. The Catalyst is great in the laning phase. It gives him the health to survive from Messiah, but World Elite very aggressively going after that blue. Will shut down Rise a little bit. Paradoxical actually dropping the ward before he heads in there, so smart play. Doesn't want to go down too quickly. But Dynamic, they're actually in position. They could maybe force this. It is a 4v4, but World Elite has some early advantages that they don't want to pressure that.
Yeah, they could have gone from behind, but it would have been a very bad situation. So World Elite decided to fall back. Go ahead, keep the farm back up. Zion Spartan, he wants that revenge. He wants the revenge from game number 1. But with the ult coming in from Aurelia, it's going to make it very difficult for him to do so. Granted, Jax did have the ult up, but he just opted to just not to. Let's save it. Let's save it for a little bit later when I have a better position. He's actually going to go back and farm the small golems in the jungle, realizing he's like, you know what, I need some time to wait for the wave to push on up. That's how I got most of my farm. That's how I got into the better position I am here. Might as well just kill some time and wait for that to happen.
Yeah, and Vladimir, with the early advantage that he's been able to press, since World Elite is an advantage in all of the lanes, he actually went with a Haunting Guise. So, it's last game, he started off, he was building more standard, he was going with that Rabadons, he still had a lot of early damage, but because he's so far ahead, he's just looking to abuse that lead over Dynamic right now, and Vladimir, Messiah should be able to clean up any fight that he's in. Like, it's just going to be so easy for him. So that's going to be a serious issue for Dynamic, but we'll see. The big thing is just sitting back, playing defensively, getting themselves farmed for that mid game, and World Elite, they're just pressuring all the lanes, are not allowing that to happen.
I'm just noticing how far behind Zig is at the moment. A full 1,000 gold already. Has to fall on back and take the wolves while he's waiting for the lane to push up. He's just not doing too great here, and it's just all that early fight, that early fight down bot lane was just a huge blow to the ego. I think it's just like, man, Ezreal, you got 4 assists, man. That's kind of unfair.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely stifling.
Yeah.
That's one of the strengths of Ezreal, is not only is he a very safe pick, but you can snowball pretty quickly as Ezreal.
Oh, yeah.
The attack speed's slow. It allows you to win any sort of 1v1 matchups. But right now, World Elite is aggressively dropping this bottom turret. One more attack, and it will go down. They're going to save it up for the next wave. Alistar, in the meantime, he's setting up for that top lane. He doesn't want to allow, Dynamic to push or, go in on Aurelia at all. So just keeping up Aurelia's advantage, not allowing Dynamic any sort of means of getting back in this game. Really safe play from World Elite.
But you do have some pretty decent coverage there ward-wise from Zion Spartan. But here comes the cow with the oracles. No longer an issue, and top lane is once again going to be not as safe as it's usually been. But good. That's the thing. World Elite, they got a pretty early oracles over game 1 as well. But meanwhile, bot lane though, you did have Zig finally fall. The aggression from World Elite is a little bit too much, and Pixel may actually go down as well. The turret going down in the process. Atlanta throws down the axe. This is the line. You do not cross this. And meanwhile, that's going down. You did have a quick kill in the mid. Messiah gonna get all of Rise, and with that, push the lane. It's no big deal.
Yeah, and the big issue for Dynamic right now is there's matchups that they should be winning and they just can't do it because they're so far behind. Rise should have a nice advantage over Vladimir, but Messiah is so far ahead, has so much spell pen. He actually has, looking at it right now, 50 spell pen right now, so he's just incredibly far behind. World Elite, in the meantime, they can pressure this dragon. There's not an opportunity for Dynamic to steal, and so 4K turns into a 5K gold lead for World Elite, and the big thing is they have no answer for Messiah, Calme, or WX.
Now, how much magic resist does Para actually have right here at this moment? I'm curious now. 42.
So,
he's going negative.
Negative. Actually, you can't go negative off a spell pen, but he's at 0. So
yeah.
Vladimir is doing true damage to Paradoxical every single time he hits
Yikes.
him. And that's why, even though Rise should have a nice advantage in that lane, Vladimir can just sit there, walk up, Q him, do whatever he wants, and he drops very quickly.
Barra trying to farm, trying to get what he can. Could not get anything there from WX as he was retreating after that mid-tier 1 did decide to fall. But Atlanta, though, mid-ward, dude, you missed a ward, Atlanta. Atlanta, come on back. There you go. We got it.
And one of the issues that Dynamic's going to face right now, not only are they incredibly far behind, but the items that they have for catching back up, Graves and Jax both going with the Vamp Scepter, which helps them a little bit in the lane, but once World Elite starts pressuring fights, it really doesn't provide anything at all. Like, having that lifesteal is just worthless because World Elite's going to burst them down so quickly. So not only are they very far behind in, items already, their itemization, it won't allow them to catch up. So we'll see how they can do. Jaxi is doing a really nice job farming in the top lane. He's out farming Aurelia, actually, because of the pressure that Atlanta's been able to put on that lane to help him come back into it. Yeah. But I don't know, the big thing is they need Zig to get into some deep item builds quickly, and he just doesn't have the gold to do it.
And Dynamic also doesn't have the champs that allow them to delay. Oh, there is the nice headbutt pulverize coming in onto Para, but he will actually get the tower. But here comes the Sona ult to go ahead and secure that, keep him still while the entire time. YJ with that ult on Alistar, tanking the turret the entire time like the beast that he is. But you do have Zig, you do have Pixel there right on around the corner. I don't think World Elite actually saw them because there's a nice little alcove there in the right there, right up top. Oh, the ult trying to steal back the blue, but it will not be happening.
Yeah, and Rise as well, just dropping so quickly. Catalyst, it's a standard Rise build. It's a very strong item, but, particularly for the laning phase, but being so far behind, he's a short-range champion. He's a, bursty mage that needs to be up front. He needs to be tanky, and against the AoE damage that World Elite has, he's not going to be able to do anything in fights. And that's true of Dynamic's entire team. They're all very short-range. They need to be up front, and World Elite's AoE, being this far ahead, will just absolutely wreck them in team fights.
And Dynamic also doesn't have, they don't have those critical champs that allowed them to stall last game, like I was trying to mention before. They don't have the Nocturne anymore. They can't go ahead and get any stragglers. You don't have the Blitzcrank anymore. You can't go ahead and grab someone and isolate them anymore.
And they don't have a good AoE clear like Ari in the last game. Rise struggles with AoE clearing, which is why he's kind of fallen out of favor, not just in the laning phase, but later on in the game. And Graves, even though he does have that AoE clearing, it puts him in a dangerous situation where Alistar or Sona could potentially engage on him.
And Graves, he's already behind. Ezreal already got that early advantage, and it's rough. It's rough for him to try and come back from something like that. But there you go, the blue buff going to be picked up there onto Messiah. Granted, Vlad doesn't use mana, but he does use that cooldown reduction, and that is going to be huge for him. And he's working on that death cap as well. That just hurts. That just plain hurts. Look at how much gold he's got. That is #1 farmer right now in the game at 5,500 gold. Huge.
Yeah, Vladimir's damage output is going to be ridiculous. And Dynamic right now, they actually don't have the damage to take him down, even if he is very aggressive in the fights. So he's going to be very strong. Ezreal, in the meantime, dueling with Zig and Pixel 2v1. And can he take this down? The ult from Lulu can barely turn this around. And so Zig actually just barely picking that up. In the meantime, World Elite, they're set up in this top lane. They want to take down the turret. They should be able to, but Atlanta is here as well, trying to prevent that dive.
It's a 3-man push, though. I'm not sure how much Atlanta can actually do to try and prevent this, especially when you have so much damage coming in and so much CC there from the Alistar and the Aurelia as well. There's really nothing that Zion and Atlanta can do but watch as it falls and just watch the tower burn. Everyone's going to fall back there from World Elite. They're going to regroup. Again, get some coverage down there over by Baron, and they may actually transition back down into mid, but Zig and Pixel seeing, yay, we killed Ezreal, try and make the best of it, but don't get chunked out by Sona. That would be embarrassing.
Yeah, Sona actually almost took him down. I thought she could do it.
Yeah.
Messiah, in the meantime, pressuring Paradoxical in the mid lane. Graves, Zig and Pixel, they were trying to take down the bottom turret, couldn't quite finish it off. And so, World Elite just continuing their early tower pushing advantage. Paradoxical, he's actually being pressured really hard. He's going to have to regroup down by the right lane so he doesn't go down.
He is being hunted. The ward coverage is fantastic, but can you get that damage? Can you actually support fight? Support fight? No, that will disengage. But Para actually going to grab that nice double kill, following up on that ult. Vlad grabbing all of that one. Very well done. Oh, the Ezreal ult does get Zig. Wonderful. Ah.
Oh, I hope we got the sexy trail of the video for you there. But, definitely really, really cool play
That's OGN level stuff right there, man. That's where it's coming in. Those edge roll kills with the ult. Yeah. Gotta get that aim going. It's wonderful stuff.
Yeah, and World Elite, they can aggressively push in on Dynamic right now. And like we talked about earlier, Dynamic doesn't have those stalling capabilities. So World Elite, every single fight that Dynamic, has with World Elite right now, they're going to lose. Like, it's just, they don't have, really good opportunities to win those fights. Later on in the game, if Dynamic can get into the late game, they have a fantastic late game.
Yeah.
They're incredibly tanky. Jack's late game is very strong, but couple that with a Lulu, so Jax can be, almost unkillable if he can get very farmed. The issue is that World Elite's AoE is just so strong right now that it's going to be tough for Dynamic to survive that.
You do have Zion being pushed away from the tower by Kame. The ult going down, try and chunk him out as much as possible as he's in retreat. The flash straight on over the ridge, but a pursuit coming from Kame. But here comes Pixel, killed enough time to actually get there, and here comes Atlanta. Will Zion actually live for this? Here comes the Lulu ult as well. Kame used the flash earlier to continue the pursuit, and the Aurelia will be taken out. I'm sure Zion Spartan's pretty happy about that one. But meanwhile, Zig, though, does get caught out in bot. So
Dynamic's going for it,
they're
going for the Baron.
This is what they've been known for. This is what Dynamic loves to do. The early Barons, if you can get them,
ward coverage.
They can totally turn this game around. There is nothing here. World Elite is none the wiser, unless Atlanta dies, which hopefully that doesn't happen, though, because that would be very, very bad. You don't want to be losing that Oracles. But Nice Shield, Paradox, they're alternating tanks. Atlanta, don't go down here. No! They know. World Elite knows this could be bad, but they do get the Baron. But here comes the headbutt and the pulverize from Alistar, but he does get turned into a squirrel. He's still in pursuit. Pixel may actually go down here. Oh,
they all might go down.
Oh my God!
He's just keeping vision for the rest of his team. Ezreal with the Essence Flux is able to get over that wall. The Arcane Shift can pick up the kill, and actually the Sona all over the wall. And Zion Spartan and Messiah. He's gonna be able to finish this up. Headbutt pulverize combo.
Oh wow!
And Dynamic. If they were going to get back in this game, they needed, to rely on Jackson. Zion Spartan, he has a 3-level advantage, or 2-level advantage over Aurelia. They were able to pick up the kill up there.
Yeah.
They were almost able to take down the Baron, but at 18 minutes, they just didn't quite have enough damage yet, so they weren't able to back off soon enough. It was very close, and that could have been absolutely huge to get them back in this game, but World Elite can very aggressively take down this mid-turret, and there's not a lot that Dynamic can do about it.
Yeah, granted, the only one still with that buff, Paradoxical, he's not going to be able to do a whole lot. Remember how far behind he is in comparison to Messiah. Messiah has a massive gold lead on him. 8K in comparison to nearly 5K. That's over 3,000 gold difference between the AP mids. And of all the people to have the Baron buff still in Dynamic, Ryze isn't the one.
Yeah, no, that's pretty brutal to just barely lose off on that Baron. But that could have been huge. It was a really aggressive play from Dynamic. I loved seeing it, that initiative, but they weren't quite able to finish it off.
Atlanta, man.
Yeah, so we'll see, how Dynamic can try and hold off. But they're 7K behind World Elite right now, and World Elite's incredibly strong. Like Ryze, yes, he's doing well, but Graves hasn't finished yet. He's doing a decent job of farming, but it's going to be a while for him still. And not having that damage, they don't have enough burst damage to take down any of the members of World Elite. That's also why they struggled with Baron, is they didn't have enough damage. Now it's going to be transitioning into a fight. Messiah could really just run right into the middle of the team. They won't be able to kill him, and he's just going to be dealing massive amounts of damage.
And just look at the items too on Dynamic. Everyone's a little bit mishmashed. They're not able to quite get a full item that they'd like to. You got Ryze, you got a Catalyst, a Chain Vest, and a Tear. You have Jax, not able to quite finish that Training Force just yet. No Infinity Edge actually just yet for Zig either. Still is 20 minutes in, no IE on the man.
Yeah, and actually Ezreal poking them down a little bit. Aurelia is making her way up in the mid lane, and Sona in the meantime is waiting for that ultimate. And actually they had the vision of the heal there, so they know that Sona's sitting on the other side of the wall. The flash, he had it! Oh, but Atlanta with the clear can get that back out of there.
Yep, Atlanta was the only one who got all of that one, but and he runs away and he's fine. But the thing is though, that is all the dispersal. World Elite needed to go in and muscle out the tier 2. They're gonna muscle out the tier 3 here as well, waiting for Dynamic to get on in. there's a headbutt pull raise coming in from YJ down onto Pixel. He will be the first one to go down. You got Parrot trying to get back to his tower. Delulu is not going to be able to do a whole lot for him. And Zig trying to get some damage down as he's running away. You do have Jax being poked down by WX, but Paradoxical, one more Q. The pull from inside just to clear the gap, and Paradoxical's actually just running as far away as he can. The minions will actually finish that one.
Yeah, and one of the issues that Dynamic's facing is having the Sona along with having the gold advantage. World Elite, they don't have to force any fight that they don't want to, and Dynamic, because they have a short-range team, they need to be ahead in order for their team to work. But actually, Ezreal chasing down Atlanta, one more attack and pick that up, gets it with the Mystic shot. So the big thing is World Elite is just kiting them. They're being very reflexive. As Dynamic tries to run in, tries to kill someone, they just take a step back, then they turn back onto them. And that kind of play, having the Sona along with their early advantage is just absolutely huge.
And even if they don't get what they want, the pressure, their presence is more than enough to get them what they want. And there you go, World Elite can continue all this pressure. Paradoxical does get the flash in, there you go, just barely enough damage to actually clean up Messiah here. But here's the thing, World Elite, the damage has already been done. You got 2 inhibitors down, the super minions have begun to push. Zion Spartan, can you actually close in on the Sona? No, the leaf strike will not be enough. And if going the long way around, wait, wow, that is crafty. That is crafty.
Zion trying to pick up some kills, and they are able to retreat. But 2 inhibitors down, World Elite with just such a phenomenal advantage, and they've looked incredibly strong right now. Dynamic, they've been struggling again for the past couple of weeks, but they have the makings there. They just need to pull it together. I don't know. They allowed themselves to fall behind very early in the game. I don't know. We'll see how they can do a little bit better. The big thing is being able to farm in the laning phase and not give up early advantages.
I saw If Recall back there. Now, do you remember that one like China tip video? You play as Warwick, you take out the red buff, then you sit in his spot. Yeah. That completely reminded me of that. It's like Sona's just there. It's like, yeah, I'm a wolf. Don't mind me. It's just I'm just recalling. It's just but I think I saw Sona go that way.
There was Tibbers as well.
I remember that. Yeah, Tibbers, throw him down.
Talking about basically, there was a video. It was like a Chinese tips and tricks video, and it was really bad. But they had the trick of as Annie, you kill red buff and then you leave Tibbers there to bait someone in to kill it and think that it's like a graphical error or something. Which I don't know why anyone would see a Tibbers in the red spawn and be like, oh, it's
that's
the red
strange.
Buff. So yeah, they started attacking it. And then Annie followed up, but
man, that
really
was
kind of ridiculous stuff. In the
so
meantime,
good.
though, World Elite, they can pressure in on this top lane. They have such huge advantages, and Dynamic, they don't have a good comeback method.
So yeah, right at the front door, there's not a whole lot that can be done. And while World Elite fends them off here at the tier 3, the super minions will continue to push. Mid is actually the mid push is actually pretty strong. Zion Spartan does have to go ahead and walk away from the fight to go ahead and deal with that. Meanwhile, bot will actually be pushing pretty soon, and just the spam coming in from If out on the outskirts of this fight. The Q harass is just massive at this point.
Yeah, and 24 minutes in, 2 inhibitors are down, so they had them around the 22-minute mark.
Yeah.
That's really difficult to deal against. And, Ezra or Graves, he does have the Infinity Triforce on Jax, so they have some of that damage back. But when you compare it with the World Elite, they have such advantages. The Sona ultimate, the AoE, and they drop very quickly. Messiah in the middle of the team. Jax actually almost picking up Ezreal there. He's actually very close to going down with the headbutt onto Atlanta, saving Ezreal, and they will be able to pick that up. The Ghost is able to... Oh, wow. Actually, the animation was canceled, so Atlanta with the Ghost was barely able to get out of there. But that Alistar headbutt, picking him off, allowing Ezreal to retreat. And there's the surrender. World Elite picking up game number 2 in just brilliant fashion.
Dynamic, they just couldn't. Like, you know what? This ship is about to sink. We gotta leave. We gotta get out of here. And man, just pure domination coming in from World Elite here.
I mean, just look at the mids. Look at all the lanes.
Yeah.
Ryze, 2-7, 140 CS. Messiah, on the other hand, is Vladimir, 8-1-6 with 200 CS, 25 minutes in, along with the Dragon and the Baron and whatnot. Their gold advantage was just massive. And I don't know, it's going to be exciting to see how they can progress, but, I have to say, Messiah is looking phenomenal. And
the whole team's looking phenomenal.
The whole team is looking incredible.
The first huge engage, 4 for 1.
Yeah. No, the
Crazy.
The big thing is that Messiah is able to transition down that bottom lane. And so just imagining if he was playing TF where he doesn't have to waste so much time out of lane. Like Vladimir isn't generally looked at as a roamer.